Hello everyone, today we're going to be looking at Minecraft Championship 23. First, we're going to be analyzing all the different teams, and I'll tell you my thoughts on them. Then, I'll tell you where the teams should place just based on pure statistics. Then lastly, I'll tell you guys where I think the teams are going to place just solely based on my own opinion. But before we get into the video, I just want to ask you guys to please subscribe and like the video because I worked really hard on this video. In fact, I accidentally deleted the first version of the script without saving it, so I had to write the whole script all over again, which took almost 2 hours. So please subscribe for my efforts. But I don't want to bore you guys, so let's just get right into the video. Starting off, we have the Red Rabbits. Now, honestly, this team doesn't look very good, but it's definitely a team that I'm very excited for. Crank Gameplays is one of my favorite YouTubers of all time, and seeing him get to compete in a canon event is just really exciting. And although this team isn't the best, and I probably wouldn't even put them in top 5, it's still going to be the team that I watch next event, so regardless of how good they're going to do, I still think they're going to be very entertaining. Second, we have the Orange Ocelots. Now, this team actually looks pretty good. Quig is obviously a very good player, and In the Littlewood is actually pretty good too. But the thing that no one sees is that Finster is actually pretty slept on. And don't get me wrong, he's not the best player in the world, but he's definitely not the worst. I think if this team can pop off, and if Quig can do well enough, this team can without a doubt get top 5. But as always, this team will be very fun to watch. Third, we have the Yellow Yaks. Now, this team is honestly just pretty average. Sapnap is obviously the best player on this team, with George also being pretty good, and then we have Elena and Gumi who are not the best players. So, all in all, I think this team is honestly just pretty average. I think they could get top 5, but they could also get bottom 5. At this point, I think it really just depends on the day. But regardless of how good they do, I think it's going to be really fun to watch this team compete. Fourth, we have the Lime Llamas. Now, this is another team that I think is honestly just pretty average. It's another situation where they have one really good player, one good player, and 2 below average players. So, yet again, I think just like the last team, they could get top 5 and they could also get bottom 5. With teams like this, it's really hard to tell where they'll place since almost every MCC team is structured like this. But anyways, I do think this team is going to be really fun to watch. I always love seeing a team that has Scar or Illumina on it, and having them both on the same team is going to be very entertaining. Fifth, we have the Green Geckos. Now, this is a team that I think is just really unfair. This team is statistically last by over 700 coins, and while I understand they have to nerf Dream, I think this team nerfs him way too much. So obviously I think this team is going to be bottom 5 and probably isn't going to win this event. Connor and Tina both have never placed above 35th place, and to me, that's just unfair that they were put on a team together, especially knowing that this is Foolish's second event ever. But regardless of how unfortunate this team is, thankfully, Tina and Connor are very fun personalities, and I'm personally looking forward to seeing them play with Dream and Foolish. Sixth, we have the Cyan Coyotes. Now, this is actually quite a turn in the opposite direction from the last team. Personally, I think the Scott and JoJo duo is going to really shine in this event. Paired with Pearl and False, who is actually a very underrated player, I really do think this team has a good chance. I would put them in the top 5 and just maybe Dodgebolt, but all in all, this team is a very good one and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them compete in this event. Seventh, we have the Aqua Axolotls. Now, I really want to have high hopes for this team, but I really just don't see them getting very far. Everyone on this team except for Puns is just really inconsistent. Sylvie placed 16th in MCC 18 and then also placed 36th in MCC 11. Snifferish placed 26th in MCC Pride and 38th in MCC 22. And lastly, Bad Boy Halo placed 9th in MCC All-Stars and placed 36th in MCC 21. So honestly, there's really no telling where this team will place. It could place in the top 5, it could also place in the bottom 5, and it could make Dodgebolt. But personally, I have a feeling they won't be doing the best. But as always, they'll be very entertaining regardless of how they place. Eighth, we have the Blue Bats. Now, this is another team that I'm really excited for. It features a returning SB737 who is still probably the most underrated player in all of MCC, paired with Sneak Snack who's also pretty underrated, and Captain Sparkles and Carl Corvus duo. Personally, I think this team is going to place in the top 5, and one of my reasons for this is actually something that CPK pointed out in his All Things MCC video. So what he pointed out was that SB has never placed lower than his last event. He's just been placing higher and higher. In his first MCC, MCC 8, he placed 25th. His next MCC, which was MCC 9, he placed 24th. Then in MCC 12, he placed 14th. Then in MCC 14, he placed 14th. Then MCC 17 and MCC 20, he placed 7th. So in his 6 events he's played in, he placed 25th, then 24th, then 14th twice in a row, then 7th twice in a row. So if he follows this tradition, he might even break top 5, and for that reason, I think this team will almost no doubt place in the top half. But as always, regardless of how they do, it'll still be a treat to watch this team compete. 9th, we have the Purple Pandas. Now, just right off the bat, I'm just gonna outright say it. This is without a doubt the best team in the event, both statistically and also just in my opinion. They have Pete, who is arguably the best player in MCC. We have Filza, who has had a few off performances, but usually stays within the 10th through 20th range. And we also have Smallish Beans, who is another player who is severely underrated. And then we have G Nelly, who is definitely not the best player, but is also not the worst. I definitely think this team will get top 5, and maybe even Dodgebolt. Probably Dodgebolt. And regardless, they're going to be very fun to watch. Lastly, we have the Pink Parrots. Now, this is yet another team that I just can't see doing well. Wilbur and Ranboo are pretty good, but Blushy and Amesy I just can't really say the same for. And I'm gonna be honest, they're not bad players, I just don't think they'll be enough for this team to excel. So personally, I would put this team in the bottom half. But as always, I do think they'll be very fun to watch regardless. Now, this is the part of the video where I tell you guys where the team should place just according to their individual averages. But there are 2 players in this event who are playing for their first canon event, so I had to use stand-ins for them on the spreadsheet I use. Those 2 players are Crank Gameplays and Amesy. For Crank Gameplays, I used Critic Zeus, and for Amesy, I used Pearlescent Moon. Now, on with the video. Now, coming in last, we have the Green Geckos, with 6,709 coins. Now, this was obviously expected, and I still think Scott did dream dirty with this team. Of course, anything can happen, and it is possible that they can place higher than this, but I just don't personally think they will. Coming in 9th, we have the Pink Parrots with 7,448 coins, which is over 700 more than the last team. Now, I think this is a good placement, and yes, I do think there is a chance that they could place higher than this, but most likely this is around where they'll place. Coming in 8th, we have the Aqua Axolotls with 7,516 coins. Now, I do think this team can actually place higher, but not by much, maybe just 1 or 2 places like 6th or 7th. And although I do have a sort of bias for puns, I really do think they can place higher than this. Coming in 7th, we have the Red Rabbits with 7,804 coins. Now, this is actually a pretty accurate placement. I can't really expect them to get much higher, especially with Crank Gameplays, who doesn't even mainly play Minecraft. Now, coming in 6th, we have the Lime Llamas with 8,103 coins. Now, again, this team is at a pretty good place, and I personally wouldn't change it. I mean, maybe just 1 place higher, but I think this is pretty good. Coming in 5th, we have the Yellow Yaks with 8,313 coins. Now, this is exactly the same as Lime. I think this team is at a pretty good place. Except for instead of 1 place higher, I would say maybe 1 place lower. So I guess I would just swap Lime and Yellow. But all in all, this is a pretty good placement. Coming in 4th, we have the Blue Bats with 8,340 coins. Now, this team is the only one where I think they can definitely do better. I think they can definitely get 2nd or 3rd. Now, of course, they could also place lower, but personally, I think they're just going to do a bit better than this. Now, coming in 3rd, we have the Orange Ocelots with 8,577 coins. Now, honestly, this one surprised me. I thought they'd get somewhere around 5th or 6th, but not 3rd place. And do I think they could place this high? Yeah, I think this is definitely possible, but I don't really think it's what's going to happen. Most likely, they'll get a few places lower than this. And coming in second with 8,753 coins is the Cyan Coyotes. Now this was also somewhat of a surprise to me. I knew this team was good, but I didn't really think they were going to get all the way into Dodgebolt. And I do definitely think this is possible, but I wouldn't be surprised if they place in third or fourth either. And of course, coming in first place with 9,087 coins, we have the Purple Pandas, who are first by a long shot, over 300 coins away from second place. And obviously, I think this team is most likely going to get first or second, and I don't really think anyone will be able to stop them. And out of Purple and Cyan, Purple wins Dodgebolt 63% of the time. Now, this is the part of the video where I tell you guys where I think the teams are going to place just solely based on my opinion. So, coming in last, I have the Green Geckos. Coming in 9th, I have the Pink Parrots. Coming in 8th, I have the Aqua Axolotls. Coming in 7th, I have the Red Rabbits. Coming in 6th, I have the Yellow Yaks. Coming in 5th, I have the Lime Llamas. Coming in 4th, I have the Orange Ocelots. Coming in 3rd, I have the Blue Bats. Coming in 2nd, I have the Cyan Coyotes, and coming in 1st, of course, I have the Purple Pandas. And out of Purple and Cyan, I think Purple is gonna win Dodgebolt. Now, I'm afraid that is the end of the video. If you liked it, please subscribe and like the video, it helps me so much. And as I said in the intro, I did accidentally delete the first script I wrote, and it took like 2 hours to write it and 2 hours to write a new one. So just please subscribe for my troubles, guys. And yes, I know I said I was going to release this video 3 days after teams were announced, but because of that whole thing with the script, I had to release it 1 day later, so just forgive me for that. But anyways, thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you in the next video. And enjoy this song I found in Phil's streaming playlist. Goodbye!